This time we'll discuss a few ideas or concepts and thoughts on developers as decision makers and as paying customers, which is at the core of the economical aspects of the developer experience. So let's go forward, and I'll tell you a few things and give me your feedback if you find them interesting or you disagree or anything else. First of all, the ideas of the Doctor of Developer Experience effort came from writing the book about API economy, and on last summer I did the 100 days DX, which is now finalized and it's ready, and it contains quite a lot of information about developer experience and is openly available at the 100daysdx.com. So check that out, and a lot of the things actually discussed in the series dxdoctor.net is coming from there and taken a bit further. But yeah, the developers are all mostly seen as the code monkeys who actually just write code and put it into servers and make them developer versions and then the production versions and just fiddle with the APIs. But actually, the developers have a lot of influence in technology purchases, and they have a lot of buying potential. And even if they don't directly offer a straightforward sales channel to the organization or company, they're your access point into starting to sell to an organization. So this was one of the ideas, and that's what's intriguing me. What's the buying customer role or potential of the developers? And according to one of those reports that I found online, Global Developer Population Report 2019 from SlashData, says that 38% of the developers are in position to make purchases. Whoa, 38%. That's quite a lot of from the developers actually influencing how your resources are used. And then there's the question that how many developers are there? What's the amount of that? What's the figure of that 38%? So the same report says that in general, on global level, there's about 19 million software developers, and it's estimated to be 45 million by 2030. Well, this is an estimate. Who knows what happens? But for sure, it's estimated to grow significantly. And this figure includes all the developers. So those who actually do professional software development, that's about 13 million. And that's one estimate or guesstimate, because I find it difficult to believe that anyone can say exactly how many developers are there and who's actually counted as a developer. But anyway, 38% of the professional developers, that makes about 5 million customers. Well, 4.9 million, but anyway, a few million customers. And on top of that, even if they don't really make the purchases or anything like that, they actually 45% of the developers are in the position to make recommendations. This means that the developers test tools and then they give you recommendations for the management or directors, and they actually give the credit card to the developer or just make the purchase. So who actually makes the decision is not the one who's the card holder, the credit card holder, but actually the developers are making decisions here, but in the form of recommendation. So, and that means that 5.8 million developers can make recommendations about how to use money or resources in development in the form of tools or services needed in the production and development. And how much they can spend on the purchases is that 25% of the developers can spend 10,000 euros or dollars plus without any kind of authorization. So with a blink of an eye. They just make a decision and that's it. And if it goes beyond that, then they probably need to advance with the recommendation path and give the management a strong recommendation of this and that tool, but it actually costs 20,000, so then we need the credit card holder again. But the decision is not completely in the management layer, but on the developer side. So this leads to me the first hypothesis that if you're actually thinking to enter the developer markets, business to developers, B2D, you need to have some kind of product strategy, how you make money, and what's the big overall plan with the products in this market. So perhaps it makes sense to make multiple compact services with a relatively small annual cost, so, or at least initial cost, so annual or initial cost. So the developer actually can make multiple purchases and they don't want to spend all their money in you or your product, so probably that 10k is not a good idea, so make it less than 10k. And if you have multiple of these compact services solving the developers' problems, then they actually can buy multiple products from you. And the instant value plus freemium means that developers they don't want to fiddle with a long time with your solution, but actually see the value immediately, and that's related to freemium in a way that they want to try it first and see it in action before they make any kind of commitment to it. So multiple compact services with relatively small annual cost. That might be one way to go. Thanks, and give me feedback. Follow later on what's going to happen, and I'm going to share more of my thoughts later on, and eventually this will come to my PhD thesis. Thank you.